Hey guys, and welcome to the video. In this video particularly, I'm going to be going over a track breakdown of a track I had released on Politics of Dancing Records, which came out around, about 6 months ago. One of my favorite EPs I've released. And just to give you guys a bit of a backstory, my name is Andrew Azara. I'm a DJ and producer from Ireland, but now living in Barcelona. Been making music for around at least 6 years professionally now. And yeah, so I've been releasing music for since around the pandemic, in around that time. So roughly about 2 or 3 years I've been consistently putting out music. And yeah, with this particular one, it's a label I've had my eyes on for quite a number of years. Like, it's been around for, I'm not sure how long it's been around, but all the old POD stuff is some of my favorite stuff. So to get my own EP on this was great. And yeah, so this track is from that EP. And it's like the C-side of the whole EP. It's actually my favorite one from the whole package, and I got some great plays from big DJs and stuff. So it was a kind of an unexpected one, and it kind of filled out the EP. And yeah, it just kind of landed that way. It's like not the A-side, but I want to go over this because I think it's important to go over not always A-sides all the time. Like, people struggle actually, I think, more sometimes with like a good B-side or a good C-side, whatever you want to call it, to kind of complete the EP can be a bit of a struggle, I've found, because we always try to make bangers and stuff. So this is a nice one that kind of just complements everything super well. So let's go straight into it. If you've seen some of my content before somewhere online, you'll know that I'm a very simplistic producer. I'm not really about big plugins. I'm a very picking the good samples from the start kind of producer, and letting the samples do all the heavy lifting. The EQing, saturation stuff just sort of helps things along, gets it all together. So you might be surprised at how little is in this project, but it could be also eye-opening for you, because then you realize, hey, I don't have to add so much, I don't have to do so much stuff. So let's go into it. It's only 32 channels, give or take. Not a lot in this. Let me give it a play and let's break it down. So yeah, it's quite a bare project, but all the better. Let's have a listen. And that's kind of it. Very simple track. It just works kind of thing. I didn't want to go overboard with this one. It was just a compliment EP. I think I made it in a day. I actually got kind of inspired from old POD stuff actually, and I just kind of roll with it. I didn't really think about it too much, but not a lot in here. So this masterclass might be a bit short, but doesn't really matter. So let's start off with the drums and what I did there. Again, very simple 909 kick, and I just have a bank of kicks I like to use, and this one is in that bank. Basically the processing involves a bit of drum bus and EQA. I think the drum bus is great because it's like an all-in-one processor. I think it does a little bit of compression as well, adds a bit of kind of frequencies that are needed, a bit of body, a bit of everything. It's like a little kind of a Swiss Army knife of plugins, which I use on a lot of stuff, and it just worked for me. And without it, the kick probably sounds fine as well. Not too bad. Just nice little 15% on top, but the kick was already kind of good. I don't layer my kicks. I don't make them on a drum synth. I sometimes do, but a lot of time I sample. There's a nice kind of richness from a sample, which I love. So in the EQ, I always do a similar EQ. I like to shave off a bit of mid-range because I feel like I'll probably do a bit more here as well. Probably could have done a bit here if I was going back and do a second mix on this. Mid-range can be a bit of an ugly part of a 909 bass drum, and I always feel like when you shave out a bit of mid 500 to 1000 hertz, it kind of just makes the kick better. I don't really know why. It's just like this build up of mid and low mids in a 909 kick drum, which I think shouldn't really be there, and just shaving off a bit of sub to leave a bit more room for the bass line that will come through. That's kind of it without the EQ. And people might ask, oh, Andrew or anyone, do you EQ first and saturate then EQ? It just depends, really. I like to saturate first rather than the end. Sometimes I do in the end, but I think in house music, you kind of saturate first. But I don't think it really matters, to be honest. A little bit, maybe. So what I'm doing is I'm saturating, then just kind of clean the frequencies up a little bit, because when I'm adding this drum bus, it's adding a bit of mid-range. So I'm just taking off what's being kind of unnecessarily added, so to speak. So I'm adjusting. I could do EQ first, EQ after, but just do whatever feels right for you. But very simple, no send returns on this. And yeah, it's kind of simple. The clap is a nice kind of stereo clap with a bit of, I like the end of it. I like a clap that kind of goes like cla, cla, not like clip, like super short. Short's nice, but I like kind of one that kind of has a bit of tail. Very simple. Okay, so when I'm building like these drums, especially when I'm building them, I like to sort of, when I'm building a drum pattern, I really leave open hats very far in the process, because it's very easy to add an open hat. So I always focus on getting like a nice mid, kind of a chunky groove via percussion, via toms, whatever that may be. And in this particular case, I found a nice drum loop from a pack, I think, I'm not too sure, and I didn't do anything to it. It was fine, but I made it very quiet was the key. It's minus 20 dB, but just when you bring things that like down in volume, it just makes it sit well with everything. It just glues it in. Like your levels and dBs and stuff, don't underlook this. If you get a loop, that's fine, but don't just bang it in and just sort of leave it there. It's too loud probably. So by bringing it down in volume compared to this, too loud. Just leaves so much nice room then to introduce some new drums which come through eventually. But the intro in this track it doesn't get more simple than this. That's actually not being used. A lot of stuff not being even used, which is all right. Very simple. And then I just introduce new parts of the track every 30 seconds or so. So I bring in the chord early just to give the listener something to grab onto, that a bit of the hook, but not all the hook. So I like to maybe drip feed bits of the hook, and then when it all comes together, everything's playing in one go. So by just kind of drip feeding a little bit is nice. Straight in. Yeah, so I didn't really do a lot of effects early on in the track. I kind of wanted to leave the effects a bit later. I don't know why. Isn't that much effects really either. I just wanted to, just keep it simple, guys. It was just a raw, stripped back, easy to DJ kind of tune. Wasn't really thinking about it too much. The bass is very simple as well. I think why the bass works is that it's just very simple and has a nice bit of swing to it. So it's every note's playing off the kick. And Trusty Prophet bass run is the preset. Love that preset. We're in G minor and just a little bit of kickstart and EQ. That's it. Adding a bit of highs here. It's a nice bit of bite there. And by me pulling out those frequencies in the kick drum, I can then add new frequencies here with that bass. So very simple kind of adding and subtracting process there. If you take a frequency out of an element, you can add some back in if they play similar frequency ranges. So the notes are doing, that's not even doing anything really. Dum, dum. So there's glide on the bass as well. So on this Prophet, when you play the notes together, there's a glide somewhere. Yeah, I can't see it there, but there's a glide function there. I'll have a look after, which is great for movement, and this Prophet does a great job with that. Operator has it too, like a glide, but this is great. I like this one. The open hat is from a Roland 909 Cloud. I use a lot of Roland Cloud, if you guys are probably aware of that by now, from the 909. Here, straight up open hat. Can't really live without it, man, to be honest. Really like the open hat and the Roland Cloud machines. Adding a bit of high end and pushing a little bit, that's all. The hat sounds good enough for me. It's good enough for me. Just a little push here. Does the job. Okay, so because I've really created nice room here, I can start to introduce some new elements in the drum region without kind of killing the vibe a bit. So this is from the 808, I think. Well, I'm pretty sure it is, yeah. So with a little snare in there. Okay, so loads of processing here. If I had to do a V2 mix on this, I would, but I kind of knew that the master would bring out all the stuff. If everything is done nicely with levels and volume and frequencies, don't worry too much about over mixing, overcooking it, because the master's going to do a bit of the work that you might think you have to do early on. So the whole beauty about this drum loop is that everything talks to each other very nicely. So everything just bounces off super nice. Sounds kind of communicate with each other really well. And with the bass too, this works really well. Just a good groove, guys. That sometimes can just do all the work, just having a good groove. And then how we play with it to keep interest is also pretty important too. So let's move on. So yeah, I divide my sections here. I like to think of it like this. Kind of like every 15 seconds, something has to happen. Whether it's a minor change, an addition, something should happen, even if it's very small. So even a crash, even a bit of effects or something. I think it's important because then you might drift off a little bit. Some of my tracks are way more like shit going on in between. But in this particular case, it was just a bit of a roller. So I just let the groove do all the talking. But every 15 seconds or so, something happens. So the kick comes out and then drums. And then here, another chord. With this chord. Filtering up. Oh, it's volume, I think. I don't know. Nice. Yeah, I really like it. I think just how simple it is. It just works. Like I really enjoyed how this came about. It came together actually very nicely. So let's talk about the chords. Chords are just straight up kind of one shots, just all again communicating with each other in a nice way. I probably would group them if I was doing a V2 mix, but it's okay. Okay, so when I was doing these one-shot chords, you can really see the attention here to syncopation, aka call and response. I think call and response is such an important part of dance music, electronic music, whatever you want to call it, underground. It gives character to your track. It gives identity. It gives groove, space, a hook. It just does a lot of stuff in a track. So I always pay attention to call and response elements, and in this particular chord groove, everything sort of just bounces off each other really nice. So when this chord actually plays at the same time, but they're in the same key, so I think they're like a layer. Nice minor jazzy chord, and then this sort of comes in, and when that finishes, this comes in, and then this one comes in. So it's like 1, 2, 3. So when I play them together like this, let's listen. So that finishes off this really well. And then back again. And then back again. So a bit of filter on this, sort of doing, yeah. So yeah, with these breakdowns I was doing, I wanted to kind of like just let things get quieter. So taking things away, getting things away. And when you pull things away, you start to feel like something is happening. So like in a movie scene or something, when there's lots of music and then it goes quiet, you're expecting something to happen. So I like to play with volumes. Is a great way to build tension release. We don't have to add a big riser or snare roll to get a breakdown. Just by pulling things away can add the best tension you can get in a track by silence, playing with silence. So with this one, as you can see, things are coming away and the bass is kind of getting quieter here with a volume. And I have an EQ here taking all the lows out, and also on the Prophet there's a filter kind of doing this. See how thin that's getting? It's kind of getting like very weaker. that's all letting the person know that, okay, something's gonna happen, aka it's all gonna come back in. Okay, it's tiny, it's like minus 30 dB. You can barely hear it, but you can just hear it in the back, and it's just trickling away, which I really like doing. I don't always do that, but in this case I wanted just to trickle the bass away again to create more tension here. So it gets quieter, and then just take the drums away. Love that part. Just great tension here, just like a little bit of effects. That's it. Just kind of there. Like, look at the difference in frequencies from here to here. Like, look at that. That's just like nothing. And then when everything comes back in again, it's like an explosion. And yeah, that was the whole kind of the ethos behind this track. Playing with volumes. And then I added a snare. Just this. It's from a Sample Market snare roll thing. With some nice reverb. Oh, the reverb I use, this one here. FabFilter Pro. Or I like to do a bit of a big room, about 3 seconds of decay kind of space. 3 seconds is great, and I don't touch much else, but I like to shave off some lows, and that's my send return for reverb. I actually have a new send return channels on my latest projects, but this is an older project, but I still have that Pro Or. Okay, so yeah, I just felt like I was kind of playing with the idea, like, you know, we always hear snare rolls and like kind of tech house music and stuff. And this was that kind of like tech house snare roll, but I just sort of did it for like 3 seconds just to kind of troll it. I don't know, a bit of a troll. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, it didn't need a snare, but just a big snare, just out of nowhere, like this. Yeah, and it just explodes in, which I thought flowed really well here. One more time. Yeah, this is from an acapella. I just took a bit of one shot, and let's hear this now. The one shot in here was great. On a V2 mix, I probably would do a little bit of this. Really cool. Goes like it just it kind of ducks behind the kick drum a bit. Yeah, and as for new sounds, I got a ride from the, again, 909 Roland Cloud with some nice swing on it. I didn't want to do a straight ride like I just wanted to get like a bit of a ride with swing. I think is very interesting. I don't hear a lot of rides that have like a swing groove on there. Always a ride tends to be like very straight, like an open hat. But get your Roland 909 Cloud machine and get a ride and swing it. Like, just get the shuffle and do a bit of off notes. Oh, this is cool actually. This is actually a little cheeky part. So just before the kick drum, when I pulled the kick drum out, I actually added this little thing here. It just doesn't make any sense on its own actually. Like, it sounds pretty horrible and it sounds like a car horn. Doesn't sound great. But at the end, when I put it in, it just makes so much sense, weirdly enough. Yeah, so sometimes in music production things don't make sense, and that's, I think, the beauty about making music is that it doesn't have to make a lot of sense all the time. If something sounds weird on its own but makes sense in the track, put it in the track. If it sounds good, it is good. In this case, yeah. Again, very simple. When I heard another played it in France or something, or Italy, and it was a packed club, and it went off, and that's what the whole aim of this track was. Like, it just sort of kind of fits in your set, in the middle of your set, very nicely, and complements the EP. And yeah, I think a good little kind of a complementary track to your EP, to your big A side, I think is going to make your package do well, hopefully. So yeah, and again, breakdown number 2 is really more the same here. I just extended it longer, made it a bit longer, and I didn't actually add anything new. I add this actually. Oh, doesn't really sound good there. Okay. So again, this SFX is from a pack, I think. Lots of reverb. Trauma pack, I think. Just adding a bit of weirdness in the breakdown, not to make it too empty. It was kind of like on its own. Without it was just like kind of like, but with it adds a bit of weirdness to it. And nothing new here, guys, really. There's a bit more effects going on. This is doing something here. Jeez, yeah. Again, on its own sounds really bad. But just works in the track, so I'll roll with it. Here I have some effects as well, kind of like some. Oh, it's interesting, yeah. So this is like some piv thing. It was too extreme, so I wanted to get it real quiet, and it felt like it needed 5 semitones. And this is like a nice little I don't know what it's from, to be honest. Some sample market thing. Didn't EQ, nothing really. I probably would have EQ'd this. There's a bit of sub in there, but it's fine. It was nice in. Actually, I made one adjustment to the pre-master. I've done a few more snares actually before the drop, like this, but it's the exact same drop, but just more snares. Yeah, so I don't know why I didn't have this in this one, but on this one it's only 4 little snares, and then here we've 8, so it's like a longer one. Yeah, real nice. Again, breakdown's the same. Here I have just the drums staying in. I decided to put them in, make these more quiet. And then the rides again. That I love that groove is really good. I think it's like a 60 to 70 swing, 16 to 60. Yeah, how that turned out was very nice. So again, guys, proofs in the pudding here. You don't have to try not to overthink too much when you're making music. If things work, great. If things don't, move on. Just if you can adopt simplicity over complexity, I think you'll make better music 100%. Because at the end of the day, guys, when people are on the dance floor, they don't really care too much about complex stuff. They just want to be able to dance, and this track is that exact kind of thing where the intro is nothing, outro is bare, everything is very bare, but it's signed to one of the best labels, I think, in the underground scene, played by some of the best DJs in the world. So that's a win from me. Some more stuff going on, guys. Nothing too much. Let me just go over quickly and I'll wrap it up. Yeah, so this is like a longer version of this. Yeah, kind of a crusty thing. everything has its place. I really love how everything has its place. There's nothing that's unwanted or not needed. There's a reason why in everything. You know, the rides are here, the snare, the thing, and all just comes together like a jigsaw puzzle, which is I really like those tracks that when it happens. Sometimes it can not be always too smooth. So you're probably asking just quickly where did I get the chords. These chords are from again, chopped up one shots. I like chopped up one shot. This is a chopped up one shot. You can see SM means sample market, so it's one of those packs. This is a, yeah, it's quite loud. Just a bit of chorus and a bit of limiting without the reverb. That reverb tail, about 3 seconds, is a beautiful, big, large room. Works super well. This is another chopped up one shot. Very nice. My theory isn't the best, but it's a G minor 7. I think it's a ninth chord. So a very disclosure style chord. They use a lot of ninths. So that was just that chord. That's all it really is. Bit of panning. And it's like the same chord but lower. And then higher up a little bit. Playing with each other so nicely. So yeah, guys, that's the track. My mastering chain, as you can see, is full of plugins. I mean, look, if I'm sending this to be released professionally on a label, I would have this completely really empty, unless I have some reverb doing something or an effect. This is just doing a little bit of pulling away of frequencies to give, just again, building that tension. So no mastering here, you know. And I think when you're making music and when you put a mastering plugin on the track and it sounds better, I don't think that's always good. I think you shouldn't rely on a mastering plugin. Sometimes I think it's the best. Leave it bare and make it really damn good without mastering plugins. I think you've really done a nice job there in your skills in the DAW. So yeah, guys, that's the track. Hope you enjoyed the video. But in the meantime, I'll see you soon. Cheers.